Hey everyone, my name is Ashik Sadiq, he, him. I'm one of the co-chairs of DSA, and we are talking today about what our dues fund together. But we're going to start by talking about all the work that makes our dues base a critical factor of what we're doing. So we're here really just to center the work that our members are driving all across this country that makes DSA the most exciting organization to be part of in the US right now, the biggest socialist organization in many generations in the US. And part of our strength is that we're not just a single issue organization. We're not dependent on big foundation funding or individual donors. It's a collective organization that's driven by our collective democracy. All of the work we do is driven by our members' decisions that we make together about what we spend our time on and what we spend our resources on. Because we'll never have as much money as, the capitalists who are pouring billions of dollars into shaping our government to
Mhm.
their own interests. But we have collective resources that we can figure out how to use together and make the best use of. And part of our strength is everything that you'll hear about over the next hour, which just really demonstrates how all of our work is intertwined. The establishment keeps telling us that we have to choose between issues, between things like immigration or safety, between a strong economy or a green transition, between standing against genocide in Palestine or protecting trans lives, between two candidates once every 4 years. But we know that's all a false choice because we're socialists. We know that in the fight for our future, there's only one real choice. It's organizing together across differences and choosing solidarity over and over again against the efforts to divide us and build the independent power it takes to make our own choices. So you'll hear this hour about how we're fighting for a ceasefire in Gaza, still many months into an ongoing genocide that's funded by our taxpayer dollars, how we're organizing Democratic primary voters to vote uncommitted to send unmistakable signals that we're not going to stand for business as usual, how we're organizing to rebuild the labor movement, how we're fighting for trans rights and bodily autonomy, and asserting that workers deserve more in our 2024 election platform. And we're up against really powerful forces, some of the most entrenched and well-funded lobbies in U.S. history. But we know that as like AIPAC opens their war chest to keep manufacturing consent for genocide, we need a class war chest to match. We need collective resources that are going to level up our power so that we're not just individuals trying to organize for the right thing in our own chapters, like as individuals. We're a collective organization that's going to keep building collectively. So we are going to be talking about updates on our political campaigns, learning how you can step up to make sure that DSA can keep being a member-funded mass organization with the collective resources that we need to win socialism. So this is just one example you see on the screen. One of the many things we've been leading in very exciting ways in recent months has been the Vote Uncommitted campaign that really kicked off with chapters in Michigan, including Detroit DSA, being part of this Listen to Michigan coalition. You'll be hearing later in a couple of after a couple of speakers from folks in Washington State who've been leading the latest iteration of it. But yeah, just to run through what we'll be talking about. First, you'll be hearing from New York State Senator Jabari Brisport. You will be hearing about what our dues do, hearing from organizers leading some of the most exciting work around the country, and also what our dues do. Next slide. So what do our dues fund? We're not just a volunteer organization, although our time and labor from our tens of thousands of members is a critical, like the main thing that drives our organization. We have dues that our members each pay that help fund things like the very Zoom we're on, emails and texts you got about this call, multiple staff members who help set up the call, the phone banking system we will soon be using the next hour to call thousands of members with. And that's just a really small sample of what our DSA dues make possible. And you'll hear more from each speaker about specific things that these resources helped with. Next slide. So yeah, just again, to emphasize like our resources as an organization that has tens of thousands of members and a budget of a few $1 million, we're able to extremely punch above our weight compared to an organization like AIPAC, which is one of the most powerful lobbies in the country right now, possibly in the world. And this is a really great example of how we're punching above our weight. We're doing it because we're member funded, we're member driven, and we're socialists. We have a really clear, uncompromising vision that's not just about like, doing the right thing in some abstract way. We know that our power is based on organization. It's based on a strong and militant labor movement, and it's based on working class institutions all across the country that are going to lead and not be driven by the interests of people who already have a lot of power in our society. So what more resources does is increase our weight. Like just imagine if we had 10% as much money as AIPAC has instead of just 5%. AIPAC is pouring $100 million into elections this year just to try to get rid of members of the squad who are acknowledging the basic humanity of Palestinians. So that's 20 times the budget of what DSA has, and they're still afraid of us. Imagine what happens if we keep growing as an organization. So I'll leave it at that. I'm going to hand it over to New York State Senator Jabari Brisport, who's part of what makes our organization so powerful by leveraging the power of elected office. So go ahead, Jabari.
Thank you. Thank you so much, comrade. And hello, everybody on the Zoom. Thank you all for being on the call. 47 strong is a great number on a Sunday afternoon. Thank you. For those who do not know me, I'm a New York State Senator Jabari Brisport. I am a comrade, a socialist in office. I represent a stretch of Brooklyn with the most beautiful neighborhoods in America, Bed-Stuy, Fort Greene, Clinton Hill, Ocean Lawn, Brownsville. And I hope everyone on this call gets a chance to visit me someday and I can show you around the neighborhood. I joined DSA in 2017 as part of the Trump bump. And I, funnily enough, was in a different socialist organization I'd been recruited to a few months beforehand. But my first DSA meeting was electric. People were just forming a housing working group, an electoral working group, and talking about organizing in my own district and organizing to win elections and being a true force. And I joined and haven't regretted it a single day since, from the election of multiple socialists at all levels of government in New York City, state, and federal, to standing in labor solidarity, to passing nation-leading Green New Deal legislation with BPRA, to politicizing a judicial appointment for the first time in New York's history and then stopping a right-wing judge from controlling New York's top court. We have done so much, and then really what's on this rally, this slide in front of you, is the fact that we have been one of the people in coalition leading the fight for a ceasefire and for peace in Palestine. And it is such a bold stance to be taken, and it's because I have DSA behind me that I'm able to take stances like these and to fight for the right thing and to push back against an incredibly powerful Zionist lobby. We have a lot more work to do, and it's great to be bringing more people in with solidarity dues today. I, for one, and sign up for solidarity dues. I do 2%, which I think is more than you'll be asking people for today. I do 1% for national, 1% for my local, and it is just an absolute pleasure to be part of this organization. And congrats to all of you for being on this call, because you're about to do amazing stuff in terms of getting more people to be more committed to DSA and putting that socialist cash to take out the capitalist trash. Appreciate y'all again, and I think I'm passing on to Frances from the NPC.
Yeah, thank you so much. Hey, everybody, I'm Frances. I'm in DSA Los Angeles and also on the National Political Committee. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the 4R Rights Committee. So, imagine if everyone who said, I wish there was a third party, or who wanted to, vote for Marianne Williamson, was instead putting their energy into organizing for DSA. That's how we reach the next level. That's how we get the millions of members and start really threatening not just mayors and governors, but also presidents. At the 2023 convention, we passed a resolution called Defend Democracy Through Political Independence. And that resolution called on us to form the 4R Rights Committee. And I'm one of the co-chairs of that committee and excited to talk to y'all about it. So we've been working on drafting a platform about what the working class deserves. And this includes some huge long-term goals, like a national 32-hour work week. This is a big long-term fight, but we are seeing progress already. UAW is ready to throw down for it. There's a bill now. We have things that we can rally around. But the question is, what would it take to change those things from just visionary slogans that seem potentially impossible to an actual reality? And that's why we're here today. DSA can be as strong as UAW or even stronger, but only if we build the kind of independent power that helps us reject those false choices and instead choose solidarity. A better funded DSA isn't the goal, but it's one of the things that we need to get to the goal. We can free up our members to focus even less on administrative and data work by providing more support. We can print way more lit so that our message, which so many people agree with, can get to more and more organizers across the country. And we can have more organizers who are traveling to chapters to train new members to become top leaders themselves, building an ever expanding organization of organizers. And that's just building on what dues do now. We can also do something that we don't get to do enough, which is just experiment. If we had enough resources, we could try so many new things. We could start like a DSA tabloid. We could get offices for every chapter. We could get a DSA advertising blimp. The sky is the limit. So that's why to become a real national player who can bully even presidents into doing what we want, we need to choose solidarity. And then we need to show the millions of working class people who are out there looking for something better that that's a choice that we have, that we all can make, and we all will make. So next I'm handing it to Judith from the Trans and Bodily Autonomy campaign.
Hey everyone, I am so excited to be here and to be one of the speakers speaking about the Trans Rights and Bodily Autonomy campaign. I am co-chair for the Bodily Autonomy Working Group in Miami DSA, and we're helping run our local campaign that's part of a much bigger national campaign for DSA that I'm super excited about. So I guess I could speak a little bit to the context of Florida, where right now we of course have Ron DeSantis in the governor's seat and a far right supermajority in the state legislature that has done things like threaten tenure in public universities, threaten the teaching of critical race theory, but also made it illegal for trans people to use public restrooms. And I think one of the most significant things for us this year is that there was an abortion, a 6-week abortion ban passed in the state. Now, we are lucky that we have a working class that's ready to fight back, and we're seeing Amendment 4, which is meant to, coming up in the ballot in November, which is meant to overturn the 6-week abortion ban, and DSA is ready to fight. DSA chapters across the state of Florida have been having regular meetings together with staff members and talking about things, and also right now are organizing a sort of organizing committee for chapters to work together and plan their campaigns together. And I can say for Miami DSA, we've already had a really exciting campaign kickoff. We had a Queers for Palestine event where we tried to bring together queer liberation and Palestinian liberation together under one message, a socialist movement for the rights of all. And we're getting really excited for the day of action that's going to be happening on Trans Day of Visibility, March 31st. The way Miami DSA plans to get involved is that we're going to be doing our very first canvas for Amendment 4 and using some strong socialist class struggle messaging to talk about why this amendment is so important, why people should be why people should vote for it, but also why they should join DSA, and why by joining DSA they give Florida's working class the best shot possible to actually winning this amendment in November. Growing DSA is always one of our biggest responsibilities because as DSA members, we know that the socialist movement is the sharpest edge. It's the one that's able to overturn capitalism and so many of the things that make life hell for so many people. And we're excited to start doing that here. I should also say that YDSA is running its own national campaign. I'm also a YDSA member at Florida International University, and we're using these, YDSA and DSA national campaigns to actually bring them closer together. And so for my YDSA chapter, we're going to be running our second annual clothing drive for trans rights, where we're hoping to bring out hundreds of students and queer people out in a place of solidarity where they can feel safe, and also hear about why socialist politics have been so important to people like me as a trans person who wants a way to fight back. The YDSA Day of Action is happening just a few days before DSA's, and we're making sure to send people to our Miami DSA canvas and getting a lot of new people to, flex, their organizing muscles and do things that they haven't done before. So I guess I should say, this is what we're in DSA for, right? To find a group of socialists who want to fight for the same things as us and have a bold vision for doing that. And those class struggle strategies, those are the things that we want to bring out at a national level, and getting people involved with our campaigns and committed to, being a part of their chapters for the long term. That's a long-term process, but these solidarity dues phone banks are one really important step. Giving our 1% for the 99% is a show of commitment to the organization, to funding it, and to giving it the resources that it needs to thrive. And that's the first step to getting to talk to people about their chapters and their campaigns and how we can help support them as a national organization to, keep on fighting. And so I guess the thing I'd want to leave y'all with today is that things are pretty bleak in Florida, but I actually feel really good about our chances of fighting back and of building a movement even here. And I think that these solidarity dues phone banks are a really great way to keep getting people committed to that vision for a socialist transformation of society. And I'm really excited to, call DSA members with y'all and fund the organization.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Judith. Next, we have Chanpreet from the Raise the Wage Renton campaign.
Hi, everyone. Chanpreet, he, him. I'm a member of Seattle DSA, and I'm also a member of our National Electoral Commission Steering Committee. I've seen how member dues can help electoral campaigns both in my chapter and around the country. Over the past year, Seattle DSA led and won Raise the Wage Renton, which was a ballot initiative that raised the minimum wage in Renton to $20.29 an hour, the highest of any municipality in the country. And this initiative was a huge undertaking for our chapter. I mean, we knocked on like 25,000 doors, canvassed 50,000 voters, 14,000 phone calls. But it wasn't just that. Our members also bottom lined the entire field operation on the back end, cutting turfs, data, scale to win, all of it. And it was because of member dues. And those are the kinds of campaigns that we want to run in electoral, where we have socialists leading on all fronts, where we have members doing a lot of this work. But it does cost money. For Raise the Wage Renton, we absolutely needed the NEC grant program to the tune of $15,000 to get on the ballot. We made really effective use of national staff time on compliance and org tools, which allowed our members to run the field operation end to end. And most importantly, we were able to keep all of our campaign infrastructure in-house outside of the Democratic Party in DSA. And it's possible because of member dues. And then after Raise the Wage Renton passed in February, just 2 weeks later, in a super short amount of time, our entire chapter mobilized again for Uncommitted Washington. And we all know this is such a critical campaign in this moment. It's allowing our members to show on a national stage that socialists stand against genocide and Joe Biden's horrific stances on Palestine. Actually, just this weekend, building on the incredible momentum of Michigan and Minnesota, we found out that Washington secured 2 uncommitted delegates. And Seattle DSA members bottom lined 150,000 phone calls and 200,000 texts in just 8 days for this campaign. Now, we threw this together in such a short amount of time. There were a ton of coalition partners there for Uncommitted Washington, and it was socialists and Seattle DSA members who stepped up the quickest to run outreach. And it was, again, our ability to tap into national infrastructure that allowed us to do this. We were able to set up a massive phone banking operation with support from staff on compliance and org tools. And we had over 500 members or volunteers from around the country, DSA, non-DSA, who came through Seattle DSA, socialist-run phone banks over the course of 8 days because of this. And this is so important politically for us when we are the touch point for all of these field operations. Raise the Wage Renton and Uncommitted show that socialists can and should lead on electoral campaigns, and that actually we're like capable of doing it better than anyone else in our city. But to do that, that infrastructure, the resources to support it, they don't appear out of thin air. And it's dues that enable our members to accomplish so much in electoral campaigns and for socialists to be front and center in leading in these spaces. Now, Uncommitted, just to pivot for a second, you all know, you're hearing that member dues are super important. I'm so happy that a lot of you are going to be phone banking to help support these campaigns. But also Uncommitted, we currently have a primary in Wisconsin. It's coming up on April 2nd. That is very, very soon. So in addition to helping secure solidarity dues to support our chapters on uncommitted work, or in Wisconsin uninstructed, also, if you can join a phone bank, please do so. They're being hosted every day until April 2nd. So try to make it to at least 1 or 2 if you can before the 2nd. Our comrades in Wisconsin are going to need all the help they can get. But thank you, comrades, for being here today. You're helping fundraise for the most incredible member-driven DSA difference campaigns around the country. Good luck on the phones and solidarity. I'll pass it off to Sarah.
Hi, everybody. I'm Sarah. I am the co-chair of the NLC, and I'm here to kind of talk about what we've done in the past year and how important a well-funded national operation has been to our work. So last year was our biggest year ever for DSA labor and arguably the biggest year for the labor movement in most of our lifetimes. Our Strike Ready campaign helped workers in both UPS and the big 3 automakers win serious concessions from their bosses through direct member solidarity work. While this work was executed by volunteers, many of whom had never even been in the same room with each other, their efforts were all united and maximized by a well-funded national infrastructure. So this looked like signs, banners, social media graphics, commitment cards like this, phone banking, text banking, And we even sponsored field trips to picket lines. We also sponsored a barbecue here in Chicago, where I live, where we are proud to say that we made a hamburger that was eaten by UAW President Shawn Fain. Our staffer, Amanda, was able to commit full-time hours to connecting members with each other and connecting members to essential resources that could maximize their success on the ground. This year, we're in a bit of a rebuilding cycle so that we'll be even better prepared for the next huge labor movement that comes around. And this requires resources. It requires a healthy, thriving DSA that's able to do outreach and go on the offensive. So we are actually hosting the phone bank that's right after this. We're going to be using some of our lists that we brought into DSA through this great solidarity work that we were doing. And we're going to be talking to those people and hopefully more about solidarity dues and the importance of switching to 1% to support our organization and help us grow for the future.
Thanks so much, Sarah. Next up, we have Beth from the National Fundraising Committee.
Okay, that is so awesome. I can't wait to call some some labor members after this. My name is Beth. I go by she, her. I'm part of the fundraising committee. And you know, the Marx quote that I often think of that we can maybe gender neutralize is from each according to their ability and to each according to their needs. And that's what I really feel that Solidarity Dues is about. It's about all of us doing what we can for DSA. And so for some of us, like me, that means committing 1% of our incomes to DSA and Solidarity Dues. And for some, it means upping their dues from $5 a month to $10 a month. DSA has always been about doing what we all can with thousands of other people to build the socialist movement together. And as I'm sure you've heard on this call already, phone banking is such a big part of that. This is a big part of our plan to make sure that everyone is doing what they can to build the organization that we all need. And from the uncommitted movements to the incredible strike solidarity and more, we all need a strong DSA for us to make it through this moment together. And so one incredible thing that's happening with the Solidarity Dues Drive is that every caller can raise about $1,000 per hour. I was a little dubious of this at first, and then we literally did the math, and we actually raise about $1,000 per hour per caller. And that's because the people who are making these calls, that's all of you, that's all of us, have already committed to doing solidarity dues. And that means that we're the best messengers to impactfully ask other folks to commit to solidarity dues. I've been on many of these phone banks since August, and I've been phone banking for I think literally 15 years now. I've never been on phone banks that have been like this before. This is not a regular kind of electoral phone bank. You're actually calling other DSA members and telling them and talking to them about why they joined DSA and what motivates them to build the socialist movement. I get incredible stories about what people's first DSA meetings were like. I remember one of my first DSA meetings. I was thinking about Jabari's story earlier on this call. I remember one of my first DSA meetings in early 2017 when the room, and I was in Boston at the time, and the room was so full, and it was really actually that cold outside, that the windows started fogging up. Like there was actual condensation on the windows because there were so many of us so excited to be part of DSA. And I hear stories like that on these phone banks, probably 3 of them per 2-hour shift. There is no phone bank like that on the face of the planet other than these Solidarity Dues phone banks. And I can't think of another organization that can call its members and raise about $1,000 per person per hour. This is like the most extreme and awesome set of phone banks that I've ever been on in the past 15 years. And this really does build our socialist movement because we need socialist cash to beat capitalist trash. And so some chapters are going above and beyond in beating capitalist cash. And so Silicon Valley DSA is putting up a $10,000 match to match the first $10,000 of solidarity dues commitments that come through their members from their chapter. And that goes, this goes beyond giving part of your dues share back to national DSA. Silicon Valley DSA is really building the national fundraising power at the local level and within National DSA, and your chapter can too. This can look different in different chapters. So my chapter, Ithaca DSA, we're running through a membership list. Everyone on our steering committee is calling who we know, who is the most likely set of people to commit to solidarity dues. You know your chapter better than national phone bankers, and you can make the most impactful and the most direct ask of your chapter comrades. That you also, in addition to running through your membership list with leaders of your chapter, you also can request a phone bank for your chapter members, and we can all literally phone a friend. And then one of the other main things that you can do in your chapter is work with the other chapters around you. It was really awesome to be on a phone bank of people across New York State, I think 2 months ago, when we were calling folks about the Building Public Renewables Act, which implementation, and we were calling folks across New York State. And I think on that phone bank, we literally had a yes rate or a soft yes rate of 61%, because people want to be part of implementing the Green New Deal in New York State. And so I'm super excited about an upcoming phone bank with our comrades in Florida to support getting folks out to the Yes on 4 canvas. And so we really can do this. We've already upped our projected income for the year by $420,000. This is something that is totally doable. It is part of our ability. It's meeting our needs. And I hope to see you on many a phone bank in the coming months. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Megan Romer, the co-chair of National DSA.
Thanks so much, Beth. So we are going to vamp just a little bit, because I think that our comrades from the NLC are going to be joining us at 4, and I don't want to do the training before they get here. But I love to vamp. I live to vamp. This is my moment to shine here. So what I'm going to ask you to do, we've got, at my best count, I did a quick count. It looks like we've got at least 36 chapters represented on this call. So what I'm hoping, thank you, Sam, is that people can post in their chat something that they are particularly proud to be organizing in their chapter. Just like a quick chapter highlight. What's your big thing? Like, if you've maybe done an uncommitted campaign, if you're maybe working on a, I don't know, what are you doing? You're working on an electoral campaign. You're working on a labor campaign. You've got a Twilight reading club. Building those public renewables. What's up, New York City? Oh my gosh, Chicago starting to plan for the DNC being here in August. Oh, that's going to be fun. I don't know what they were thinking. Like, yeah, let's have the DNC convention in Chicago. Like, that's never gone poorly before. I think a DSA ceasefire resolution by a 9-2 majority, which included the lead of Kayla and Miss Phoebe, who are socialists in office, who brought that resolution to the floor, which is amazing, and had to really fight for it. Gabriel Sanchez for GA House District 42. Will that be Georgia's first elected? Is that right? Am I remembering right? Huge. Palestine solidarity in Cleveland. Yeah. Ashik and I have been on district calls for the last couple of weeks talking to chapters about their Palestine solidarity work. And it is incredible the amount of work that is happening across the country, just from DSA chapters alone, but also in these big coalitions. It's very cool. Tidewater, Virginia, fighting for trans rights in public schools. Incredibly important. The Leave It Blank campaign. I am looking forward to putting in a blank ballot myself. Double-digit state SIOs after the state primary in New York, huge. Sending New York City DSA and EWOC members to labor notes, awesome. How many people are going to be at labor notes? Like, raise your little hand in the Zoom. Lots of people, I think, right? Asheville DSA started a YDSA chapter. Love to see it. Southern New Hampshire for major growth in new queer rights fundraisers. Awesome. Austin just reelected your socialist DA. And that was a tight race, right? That was one that was like up in the air because Elon Musk decided to like stick his weird nose in it. Public power campaign. Yeah, Texas really needs it. Good Lord. DSA Shorts started a war DSA chapter. Okay, hold on. Dean Preston re-election. Yeah, Dean Preston is a great fighter for housing and tenants' rights in San Francisco, and is San Francisco's socialist in office, who I got to meet and feed gumbo a couple weeks ago at our National Political Committee meeting that was in San Francisco. Kansas City DSA started a YDSA chapter. Love seeing the YDSAs pop up all over the place. Building up DSA-LA's Growth and Development Committee. Those new member calls, so important, because that is, we know we're doing math on this, and we're seeing stats that if you engage new members right away, they're more likely to stay, which means they pay more solidarity dues, but also they're there to do the big work we want to do. We're a mass movement org. We need people, and we need those people to, stay and be committed and be ready to fight this fight with us for a while. So getting folks in. Yeah, 2 socialists to Louisville. Sorry, I never know how to say it quite right. Louisville Metro Council, JP and Joshua, both like true cadre members. Disability awareness. Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Louisville. Okay. All right, awesome. So we're starting to see our labor folks trickle in. People who are in charge of me, shall I keep vamping? Shall I continue to chat, or shall we start moving into the training? Do you want me to should we all go get a glass of water? Should we do that for a minute?
We could, why don't we bump up one more track for 2 to 4 minutes and let people trickle in?
Yeah.
But yeah, they could just lay it out. You can see why we had a pretty hard time choosing just 6 people to actually speak on this call about all the amazing work happening in the org. And members can fill in many blanks. And there's so much more happening everywhere. And that's why we're doing what we're doing right now. So thanks everyone for being here.
Yeah, it can be easy to sort of fall into the trap of fundraising for fundraising's sake, but we're not doing that. We're fundraising for the actual work we want to do. And that's really important. And that's really something to sort of keep centering. So yeah, think about these things that we're actually funding when we're raising this money. It is really important. It is transferring power from the ruling class to the working class. And that's how we win.